Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you're listening from. This is Andy. We're on the 1911 podcast today. We're 46 games done, dusted, 22 wins, 11 draws, 13 losses, 77 points amassed. We've made playoffs, gents. Bit of a successful season by my book.
I think it's pretty hard to say otherwise, to be honest, lads. Yeah. And we were only 1 point off third as well, which it's sort of beyond anyone's wildest expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'd have bitten your hand off, wouldn't you, for that kind of result at the start of the season? And whatever you want to say about the form and the January window, whatever, put that all behind you now that we have made the playoffs, I think is what the fans will be thinking, because it's a momentous achievement, massive.
Absolutely is. We finished fourth. We've just come up from we've just come up from a league below, and we finished fourth. We are also, I believe, Andy, can you tell me on this one? From a team that's been promoted, we've got the highest points. Is that correct?
Yeah. So out of all the promoted teams in the EFL this season, we have amassed the most amount of points, and I think we don't want to understate what we've actually achieved this season. We've come into a league and there's some big boy hitters. Look at the money that's been thrown around in this league this season. We have shown massively. Basically, we're at what I'd say is the start of Lincoln's journey, where we're not one big star player. We've got a squad of players that are good enough, but not stars. But as a team, that ethic and cohesion that they've got as a team is what's got us to this point. And I think that can't be stated or celebrated enough. The team that Graham's put together with that mentality and the players' caliber of mentality over probably quality is something that's got to be applauded.
100%. Yeah, I think I've sort of been saying all season, I think this team is greater than the sum of its parts, and I think that's a real success from the management and coaching perspective. To get essentially more than these players will be capable of on their own out of them as a unit. When are we getting the Alexander the Great statue?
Well, we're not getting the banner now, are we?
We all know the flag's not allowed anymore.
Yeah, it's banned. Yeah, yellow team leader, I blame.
I also think, just on that point, on a sort of wider, more looking at it through a wider lens, I think our achievements have gone a little bit under the radar, given looking at League One as a whole, because you have sort of the Lincoln City story. They finished on 103 points, incredible achievement from them. You've got Stevenage, who crept into the playoffs as well, who, again, an absolutely incredible achievement. The vast majority of people are talking about that, and I think we're creeping under the radar a little bit, and I think that can only be a good thing going forward.
Well, I would say that we've been creeping under the radar all season. I think that there's been so many times where people expected us to drop off and we haven't done. You look at the odds for the playoffs and we're nowhere near. Everyone. I think Bolton are by far the favourites to win the playoffs. I think that is something that we have constantly had all season. It's where it's been a case of Bradford will drop off, Bradford will drop off, Bradford will drop off.
From our own fans, might I add.
Well, it's from everyone, I think. I mean, the amount of people I saw saying... Yeah, everyone. The amount of people I saw saying that we were going to lose Exeter, I did start to believe it myself. And obviously the away form obviously creeps into the back of your head as well. But definitely at the start of the season, we flew under the radar because that was how we beat teams, was they weren't expecting us, I think, to run at them head first. And that's exactly what we did. That's how we beat them. And later on in the season, we've been able to grind out these results, which is brilliant. That's promotion winning credentials.
Nearly.
Yeah.
A word on the away form, by the way, though. I think this team's copped a lot of flack for being absolutely useless away. I think we ended up finishing 7th in the away table, which isn't bad.
I mean, it's a bit misleading, isn't it? Because you've got everyone in that away table. Even the people who 24th. Northampton Town, who've been torrid since New Year, are in that table. So it does skew a slightly bit. I know what you mean in the sense that we haven't done terribly, because you'd think we'd be lower, much more like 12th or something. I don't know. So 7th, if you take it as the table is, that's only outside playoffs. So yeah, it's not terrible at all, is it?
I'm not sure it does skew, to be honest, because I think say we take the best teams in the league, top 8, Plymouth, we beat them 1-0. Luton, we lost that 2-1. Drew 1-1 with Stevenage, drew 0-0 with Bolton, beat Stockport
3-1 Cardiff.
Beat Stockport 2-1, beat Cardiff 3-1, and then we got absolutely flattened by Lincoln. But
I'm not sure. I think you're playing this one up a little bit, if I'm honest with you, Will. I think our away form has been absolutely dreadful, if I'm honest. I think if our away form would have been half decent, I think we probably would have been looking at that second place, which is crazy to think of a team that have come up. But let's face it, I don't think it's been that great, has it?
I think by definition, seventh place in the away league is half decent, and I think it would have required a much bigger improvement than what you're suggesting, given that we finished 14 points off second. I mean,
put it into perspective, right? All the teams in the playoffs, they've, regardless of home or away form, barring Bolton, who have only lost 9 all season, we've all lost 13. So it doesn't matter where the wins are coming from, does it, really? I know we could have maybe been more, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but at the end of the day, it's not had that much of a bearing, has it? Let's be fair. We've all lost the same amount of games.
Yeah, I think just obviously we'll look back on so many games away from home, especially, that we've just thrown away, thinking most likely Reading and Barnsley most recently as well, that we've just absolutely disintegrated. And I'd say it's not on, but that's not really the time, I don't think, to discuss things like this at the moment. Like you say, 7th place in an away form table is not bad. And it's worth pointing out as well that our form against the rest of the playoff teams is second best. I think only Stevenage are better.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Stevenage.
Before we move on, I know we want to try and keep it positive because it's playoffs, right? Have we cocked up enough away games from snatched defeat from the jaws of victory enough to fill that gap to Cardiff? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
So, have we lost enough points?
You waffle on, and I'm going to go through all the results, and I'll see how many points we've dropped.
Genuine, has there been that many? There's obviously been a fair few games, defensive errors, goalkeeping errors, whatever. But has there been enough for it to actually make a difference?
It's 14 points, and that's basically what, I don't know, a bit of pub maths in the back of my mind, like 20% of our total points. And I think,
are we counting games that we've thrown away or games that we've just not turned up to?
Thrown away from the jaws of victory.
Right. Okay.
Well, we've had poor management.
I think we've left a lot of points out there, like Wimbledon, for example, where the players
exactly.
Up, but I don't think there's, on any day we were ever going to get anything out of that game.
Did anyone see the video with the Wimbledon vlog guy who was following basically Nerfil, and they basically were really good friends beforehand, and literally was filming Nerfil, and I think they've only just brought the video out. And Nerfil, when we went 2-0, 3-0 down, he's just filming him, and Nerfil's going, I don't know what's going on here. I don't understand what's going on. And I don't know if that's part of the problem, isn't it? Like, you've got all these kind of vloggers and stuff and causing problems towards. What do you think? Like, does it affect the players?
No, I think it's different when obviously someone gets in your face like that. But I think most of them are fairly solid to this kind of internet stuff that goes on, like all that criticism and stuff that you see on social media.
I think if you're a professional footballer and you can't deal with a little bit of ribbing, then you're probably in the wrong profession.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Would you like my final point total? So, but by my calculations, I would say we would have stood to gain only 7 points, I would say. So the games I'm going to count are Peterborough away, 1-0 up, through that away late on. There was nothing in September, I don't think, and nothing in October. We then go towards sort of Reading, obviously, we completely threw that one away, and Barnsley as well, I would say. So that's 2 points dropped, and then 2 points dropped. So 4, and then 3 points dropped at Reading. 7 points, I would say.
If you want a bit of the other side of it as well, if games finished in the 75 minutes this season, Bolton would have finished around 18th or 19th.
Yeah, masters of late goals, aren't they? Yeah. Where have we finished? Out of curiosity, do you have that on you?
I don't have it on me, but I did see it quite recently, and it was about. We would have still been in the playoffs.
Fair. Okay.
Can I just mention about Stevenage? And it's always this thing is where, you know, the team that finished last in the playoffs, they always seem to win, don't they? They always seem to be that team. There's always that one team that always just creep into like the playoff positions and they win the playoffs. And is that Stevenage?
No, it's not, mate. Well, it might be Stevenage. Stevenage might win the playoffs, but they're not going to win the playoffs as a result of finishing.
Why
sixth.
not?
I've got the receipts here, mate.
He's got the receipts.
Third place is the best place to finish for winning the playoffs. The team that finishes third place wins the playoffs in League One. This is since the playoffs began, so pre EFL Coca-Cola rebrand. Team that finishes third has won the playoffs in the third tier 37% of the time. Team that finishes fourth has won it 27% of the time. Team that finishes fifth has won it 19% of the time. And the team that finishes sixth has won it 17% of the time. And then if we're talking about reaching the final, the team that finishes third reaches the final 64% of the time. The team that finishes fourth reaches the final 54% of the time. The team that finishes fifth reaches the final 47% of the time. And the team that finishes sixth reaches the final 35% of the time. So basically, since when the playoffs came in, which was, I think, 1990, around then, the way you finish in the league generally dictates your chance of winning the playoffs, and that stands to reason, right? Over 36 years, that the team that finishes higher will have a better chance because more often than not they're a better team. So I'm not having any of this creeping into sixth. It's a load of rubbish. Essentially, people, I think there's a sort of a trope of people to suggest that the team's got momentum. Think about it realistically and think about things rationally. Momentum doesn't exist in football. It's an ineffable concept. A team doesn't get promoted because they've got momentum. Teams get promoted because the players have teams start winning games or they come into form because the players are good. They've got confidence. They're doing things because they've got confidence in one another. It's not momentum. A team can't have momentum. It's impossible for it to happen. So, yeah, and also, regardless of any of this, nobody's in form in the playoffs anyway.
No, yeah, if you'd have said that, Plymouth or Luton were that last playoff team instead of Stevenage, then you could have made a claim that those are the teams with the form behind them, because everyone else really isn't in massive form in the playoffs at the moment, and those would have been the two teams to look out for, I suppose. But no, very, very interesting. Thank you.
I would argue even if Stevenage so Luton or Plymouth would have got in, that's they would have been the teams to look out for because they're the teams that have suddenly sort of realised their potential. They're actually good.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you look at you. I mean, I'll be honest. I think if Luton had sneaked into that playoff position, I'd be very, very, very worried about them, especially with their recent form. I'd be really super worried about them. Andy, what do you reckon, mate?
I'd have been worried about Luton. Stevenage, they got in on a ghost goal at the end of the day, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. It didn't go in. It definitely didn't go in.
Exactly. And Luton, they are probably the form side in the league at the moment. I mean, the last 5, they've won 4, drawn 1. Whereas the best that we've got in the playoffs at the moment is probably, Stevenage, maybe, with 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss.
Stevenage have won 3 of the last 6, but then so have Stockport.
Stockport lost to Port Vale. I'm not taking anything from them.
Also, Stevenage got beat by Bolton. Stevenage got beat by Bolton 5-1 as well.
They did have 10 men for some of that game, in fairness, and I think. I honestly think I don't say this because I think that they've got momentum, but I think Stevenage could surprise a few people. I think they've done well to be drawn against Stockport in this instead of us or Bolton.
I think Stevenage will beat. I know we'll do predictions obviously much later down the line, but I do think Stevenage will do a job over Stockport. And then the ideal scenario is that their scrappy, break it up football, anti-football comes apart on the big pitch at Wembley.
I think,
which will suit our play, I think, a bit more.
I think when you look at Stockport, Dave Challoner, obviously there's that stat that does the rounds every single year, this time of year, that Dave Challoner has never finished a full season outside the playoffs as a manager. Obviously, we conveniently forget the COVID season where he didn't finish in the playoffs. But there's that stat that comes down every year. But when you actually look at it in the EFL, whenever he's been to the playoffs with Stockport, which is twice, he's not done that well. Also outside the EFL, he's lost. Like with Stockport, he's lost playoffs like in non-league as well. So like obviously last season they lost on penalties to Leyton Orient in the semi-final, and then was it 2023 the year that we lost to Carlisle and they went to Wembley and played Stockport, and everyone thought Stockport would walk that final at Wembley, and Carlisle won. Stockport haven't got a great record at Wembley. They haven't got a great record. They also
they lost early. Yeah, they lost earlier in the season. I was just about to say to Luton in the trophy.
And they haven't got a great record in playoffs under Challoner. They haven't got any defenders either. So Carl Wotton's still playing at the back for them. Yeah, I think Stevenage could hurt them. I think Stevenage get a 1-0 win at home in their in their home leg on Saturday, and I think it could be trouble for them. But to cut a long point short, I think Stevenage have done well to get Stockport over the other two, because I think realistically, Bradford Bolton is the big tie of the two, isn't it? It's the
I think the winner of our tie is the team that goes up.
I'd agree.
I don't want to tempt fate.
I'm scared to tempt fate, obviously.
But I think everyone sort of really worked out, because I don't think Bolton really wanted Stockport, and I don't think really we would have wanted Stockport. I think I wanted Bolton. I think in the playoffs.
I never wanted Bolton. I think
you're on your own there, Ewan. I think you're on your own.
I think if we obviously, if we beat Bolton, we go to Wembley. That's kind of obvious. But I think that is a massive challenge to get through Bolton. If we manage to get through that, then when we get to Wembley, we will do it justice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like we'll say, we've done it now. Like
I kind of get where get where you're coming from, but I think that for me, I think that when I knew that we had Bolton, I thought, when I look back on the two games where you look back on the game. The first game, we just managed to stop them winning. You look back on the second game, they had the more chances. They probably should have won that game. I think I'm a bit concerned on that one.
I mean, I disagree that they've scared us this. Yeah, I disagree that they've scared us this season, because in the first game we got it sort of tactically wrong in the first half. But then we came out and changed everything in the second, and we gave it a really good go. It was fairly even. Lapsley could have won it at the end for us.
Barring their wingers, they didn't scare me.
Their defense is shocking as well.
It didn't scare me. Barring their wingers, they didn't scare me. So as long as we keep their wingers out of the game, I think we've got a really good chance.
We were a good match for them as well in the home tie, I thought.
I don't think either of you know what you're talking about, if I'm honest with you. I think that they were I think in both games they were very, very confident.
I mean, Kozia Dubry.
Very lucky that we didn't lose both of those games, if I'm honest.
In that, in the reverse fixture at our place, Kozia Dubry had two massive chances early on in the first half, and then had nothing else. So I think I'd take that as kind of a win almost.
I'm not necessarily. Well, I mean, it wasn't a win.
It wasn't a win. Yeah, it actually wasn't a win.
Objectively wasn't a win, but no. I am not necessarily sure I sit on either side of this. Like, as far as this had this argument. I think I do agree. The first game at their place, first half, like absolutely battered us. We were lucky to get in at what we were lucky to get in at 0-0. And then second half we got our stuff together. Like you say, could have won it. I think a draw was maybe a fair result. And then at Valley Parade, yeah, they should have won that game. I think, especially once they went 1-0 up, to not win that game for them, it would have been very disappointing. I think the second half again in that game, they're a very good second half team, and the second half again in that game, they came on really strong. And and I think it's all well and good saying, barring their wingers, they didn't scare us. It comes back to the point of, it's all well and good knowing what a team's strengths are, but if they're really good at them, then it's really hard to stop it.
Yeah, and also saying, barring their wingers, well, that's central to their attack. That's like their best part.
Ewan, we're talking about their wingers. Tell us a little bit about their wingers. Tell us a little bit about who the players are for Bolton. Who are they?
Well, Kozia Dewberry obviously operating on the right, and then Sissoko on the left. Sissoko skinned Baldwin for 90 minutes and was absolutely terrifying. But as I said, Kozia Dewberry had hit the bar and then headed wide around sort of 15 minutes in, wasn't it? And then had nothing else. So hats off to Torre, who was playing left back. He had him. I sit on the cop and everyone's screaming at Torre, check your shoulder, because their fullbacks were overlapping a lot over him. So, saying, oh, well, their wingers are scary. Yeah, that's what we've got to be careful of. I totally agree. I disagree that they should have won that game. A draw was definitely a fair result. I think it's hard for us to process almost, because this has happened throughout in the entirety of my time supporting City, is these flashy teams come to Valley Parade and you go, God, these are scary, because they play nice football and we have a tendency to not play nice football. But just because we play different styles doesn't mean, we're not good fodder for each other, and it was a fair point, I think, for both teams. I do understand that their threat is massive.
I don't think that's really a point. I think if you look at the chances, of the game, I think in honesty, I think Bolton totally deserved to win that game. I think for everybody who stop me if you think I'm wrong, chaps, but like when they went 1-0 up, you kind of went, yeah, that's pretty fair. That's pretty fair that they deserve to be 1-0 up.
I think there's two things here, though. I think one thing is that they went 1-0 up, and it had been coming in that half. I agree with that, but I think once they did go 1-0 up, we came back really strongly, and once we got our equaliser, we were more likely to win that. They had absolutely nothing to come back. I also think, to your point, Ewan, I wouldn't necessarily say that Bolton do play fancy football. If you look at them, they knock it around all right, but they go long. They're a direct team.
I think
they go over the press, and that's not necessarily the flashiest thing. I appreciate the point you're trying to say with their wingers, but I also think, again, I don't know. There's a few things. I don't think Baldwin. I'll be surprised if Aidan Baldwin plays right back again, in that because I think he had a really, really tough game. Yeah, but when you do consider as well that while Sissoko looked streets above anyone else on the pitch that day, didn't really have much end product, did he?
No, I was just about to say he had one really close deflected shot in the first half, and that's all I can really think about. There was one who did Torre clear off the line from in the second half? I don't know, I can't remember, but I kind of agree. Going back to the sort of the flashy point, I think the thing is they do have players that are streets ahead of what we have, and that's the main point. I think I do get the point that no one, I don't think, in the playoffs can play the flashiest football. I think it's a fairly level playing field, I think, for all teams who all have their strengths, and it's just going to be a great battle, I think, between us and Bolton.
I also think it's worth making the point that there are a lot of rumours doing the rounds on social media, unsubstantiated, I might add. I'm not any ITK guy at all. I've just been reading social media that Johnny Kenny is injured for the rest of the season.
Not true.
So I want to say, I've actually looked into this, and apparently not.
Yeah, because Schumacher came out in his presser and said nothing. He said all players are fit and have trained.
So I don't know where that rumour's come from. So yeah,
is that a bit? If Schumacher's come out and said that though, is that a bit of smoke and mirrors? A bit like Graham did today.
What would he have to hide?
No, because Graham's come out and he said about Bobby and Tyreek. Oh, they're on schedule. We wanted them to be a bit further ahead of schedule, but it's not ruling them out. He's not giving anything away, saying, "Bang, they're not available." So is it a bit of smoke and mirrors?
I was going to make that point with not necessarily because I didn't know about the Bolton one, but with us, I'd listened to Graham Alexander's press conference before doing this, and I did think that I thought there might be a bit of kidology going on there because, you know what I mean, if they were fit, it is massively in his interests for the opposition not to know that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If they fit or not, you don't want to give an ounce of anything away, do you? At all. And it's going to be the same from both camps. It's as much a mental game as it is out on pitch. It starts now.
100%. I agree with that. I do think just when we're thinking about the actual like performance of the team and like what we could possibly achieve. I think there's a point that needs to be made here of like. I think this team, our team, it's got a lot of mental strength under Alexander. Like the mentality of this team is massive, and I think there's been 3 ends of season we've had under Graham Alexander, but every single end of the season, the team we've had has needed a result for something to happen or to have a chance of something, and every single time we've got that result. Obviously, so there was the first one where we needed to beat Newport to have any chance of getting the playoffs. We won that 4-1. Obviously, we missed out on the playoffs in the end because results elsewhere didn't go our way. After that, there was a Fleetwood game last season where we just about got over the line and got the result. Just about. And then Exeter, obviously, last week where we won 2-1 and it was comfortable. I mean, it needed a point. So I think going into the playoffs where realistically if we win our next 3 games, we'll be in the championship next season. Like it's basically like we're going to get the second leg, especially we're going to be going into it needing some sort of result. Whether
Does that make a difference?
Yeah.
Are we buying into the second leg being at VP being the be all?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, because
100%. I think that has been me and Will were at Exeter on Saturday, and everyone was saying the scores, and you kind of thinking there was one point where we were in 3rd position, we were in 4th, we were in 5th, we were 6th, whatever, and you kind of looked at like you couldn't help but yourself but look at whatever we were going to play against, and I do think it makes a massive difference. It does. It makes a huge difference to what you're doing. I think if we'd have finished 3rd in the table, I just think that would have made we would have had more of a chance. I genuinely think if we'd have played Stevenage, I genuinely think we'd be at Wembley already. And I know it sounds crazy to say that.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have wanted to play. Well, having the choice of Bolton or Stockport at Wembley, I would have much rather the choice of Stockport or Stevenage. But you're absolutely right. I think the second leg's massive. I think was there a stat saying this is the first time in the history of the playoffs we've had the second leg at home?
Yeah. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Being devil's advocate though, we go to Bolton on Saturday. We get hammered 3-0. What's the atmosphere going to be like at VP? Are we going to be up for it? Yes. I'm just being devil's advocate here.
And straight away, I'm going to say to you, 1996, where we lost 2-0 at home to Blackpool, and they had already in their programs they put Blackpool on their way to Wembley. Chris Kamara put it up. He didn't even need to say anything before the game.
They had information about like this is how to book your coach travel to Wembley. Here's where to park, that sort of stuff. Similarly,
in the program, and we won 3-0. And this is the thing about this Bradford team. No, this is the thing about Bradford City Football Club is that whenever we're always counted down and we're always told that we ain't got enough and blah, 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 we always bring it from somewhere. And this is the reason why we support them. This is the reason we do this podcast. You've got Will, who's living in London. You've got, it's all of this. Like, Will will go to every single game he can because this football club is amazing. It's fantastic. It's what we do, and it's why we love it. Andy, you live in bloody Newport. You won't like me saying you live in Newport, but you do.
He's just been doxed.
Well, I've less.
But you still support this football club. Why do you support this football club, Andy?
I didn't have a frigging choice.
No.
I was forced into it.
Because you love this football club.
There is one problem with all this
like
praise singing. When was the last time we scored 3 unanswered goals?
Yeah, that's a good point. Don't worry about that.
I mean, we're not flush on goals, which is why I think this tie is going to be quite cagey. We're much better going backwards than we are forwards usually.
Ewan, we just finished 4th in the table. I'm not concerned about when we won by 3.
No, I'm not at all. I'm not either, because I think I was only replying to him saying, well, what if we lose 3-0? I don't think we're going to lose 3-0 in the first leg. I think it's going to be a cagey 0-0. Which means that everything will matter at that Valley Parade fixture.
I want a prediction.
Yeah.
I had that. How does Valley Parade react if that is an outcome? And it goes back to the point of, does it really matter whether you're away first or not?
Well, I think you've got no choice, to be honest. Because I think, let's put it this way: we play away. We play at home first. We lose the home leg 3-0. Oh, we've actually got recent history of this. Recent, about 9 years ago, we played Millwall at home first in the semi-final. It was 10 years ago, wasn't it? And we lost 3-1. And we went to the Den on a Friday night and put in a meek performance. We got out-battled and out-fought and drew 1-1. And we were nowhere near winning that. Yeah. So I think even if you do lose that for the away leg 3-0, you'd much rather be at home in the second leg than away again.
Yeah, I definitely would rather be back at Valley Parade, because I do think, like I say, that is gonna be the key one. It's gonna go in, I think, all level to that fixture, whether it's 1-1, 0-0. I think it will all come down to that fixture at Valley Parade.
Well, let's do it then. Predictions Saturday.
Oh.
I've already said mine. I'm going to stick with my guns and say 0-0. We've already had one there this season.
Oh yeah, do you know what?
KG 0-0.
1-0.
It's really hard doing something like this, because as a fan of a team in the playoffs, and not only the playoffs as they are anyway, but a playoffs like this that seem so tight from the outset that you could basically, it feels like you could decide it on the flip of a coin. And I'm well aware. I'm thinking about things logically, but I'm well aware that me saying whatever has no bearing on anything in the game. But I can't help but feel that if I predict as any result and we get beat, it's my fault.
Well, say 5 all then.
Okay, I tell you what. How about this and then, Will? What's your heart saying?
I'd say what I actually think is going to happen. I think we lose the first leg 2-1 and we go back and beat them 2-0 at home.
Oh, ballsy. That's ballsy, that is.
What you got for us, Andy?
I think it's going to be a 1-0 either way at the Reebok. I refuse to call it whatever it's called these
days. The Tough Sheet Community Stadium.
It's the Reebok.
It rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
I think it's going to be a 1-0 either way. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Because I think if we're going off what me and Chris think, where it's going to be, or Will as well, for a really cagey draw or slight win for either team, I think it could be carnage at Valley Parade.
I'll be honest. Okay, I'm going to say this. I think if we can manage to not let them absolutely batter us at their ground, we go through. My concern and my worry is they end up winning 3 or 4-0.
Yeah, there is.
And I think they're very capable of that, Will.
Yeah.
I think they're very capable of doing that.
I completely understand. Like looking at their attacking options, it does feel like, you know, once you go one down, when they get the crowd up, there's almost a bit like a sort of slippery slope kind of thing where you worry the tie could just slip away over the course of like almost like we did to Huddersfield in the sort of in the first half at home when we scored 3, and it just that game just slipped away from them in a really short space of time. I understand that is a worry. That is a worry.
I'm going 1-0 City.
I think also you've got to remember that look at Stevenage, who got beat 5-1 there. I don't think they're as good defensively as we are. There's a reason we've been to their place and they've come to ours, and we've come away with a 0-0 draw and a 1-1 draw. It's because we're a good defensive side.
I think that's a very decent point, and I understand what you're saying. However, I do think there is that potential that we could be that Stevenage team.
I do agree that there is a danger definitely of being blown away early doors.
I think if we can manage to cope with that first leg, we've got a massive chance.
Yeah,
however, my massive worry is that we can't, and no, we won't mention it tonight. I was going to mention something else, but we won't mention it tonight.
Is there a world where we go there and they shit a brick and we go 3-0 up?
They're absolutely.
Is there a world where I know we've not been high scorers, but is there a world where Jackson, Humps, Sass, all on score sheet, smashing it in, and we just totally outplay him?
Yeah, there absolutely is. Look at what happened when we went to Cardiff. I appreciate that was in September and we're in May now, but this team is capable of springing a surprise, and this team is capable of battering someone, like anyone in this league. That like we keep saying, or I do at least, this is a very, very tight playoff situation. Look, as nervous as we are, I know for a fact Bolton fans are also nervous. They've done this a couple of times before already, and they've been beaten. Like it's not a nice situation to be in as a fan unless you win. And like there's gonna be fans of 3 clubs here that are gonna end the season absolutely gutted. Like
and I would also add into, if you look at the League Cup results as well for ourselves, where we beat Blackburn and we beat Stoke. Smashed both of them, where we weren't expecting anything, and we absolutely took them apart. When the pressure was on, well, not for them, but the pressure was on for us, I think maybe there is a potential there that we could kind of make an upset. Certainly, again, with like Caden Jackson, I really like Caden. I think bringing him in has been the only decent signing from January. There's potential. There is. I just think we have to see what happens, man.
I think the game plan is pretty simple from my perspective, whereby we can go and we can be ambitious and we can be our sort of like adventurous selves to a point where, but like essentially we've got to go to that away leg and make it the worst game of football you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can kill the game.
100%.
10 minutes down, 10 minutes in, get Sam Walker down, and get all the players like killing time. Taking 10 minutes over every single throw in. I remember what was the ridiculous stat that when we played Wigan, where there was about half an hour of the ball in play time. Let's make it 15 minutes. Like honestly, get out of there with a 0-0 draw and then take them back home. But like, you've asked me what I'd be happy with from that game, and like if we can get out of there with nothing worse than a 1-goal defeat, I think we're all right. And then we can definitely overturn. Well, whether we will or not, we're capable of overturning a 1-goal defeat at home, given our home record.
Is the pressure off Bradford City completely with the way I'd say we've overachieved, and if we go out at the semi-final stage of playoffs, we're going to be gutted as fans. That's part and parcel of it. But really, is it a free hit?
Yes,
we're playing with house money.
Yes.
I think.
I'm going to throw a curveball in here and maybe say for some of the fans, no, because there will be a certain fear that we can't we might not be able to replicate this next year.
And
I mean, it's. I totally agree that it's absolutely irrelevant to the discussion of these next 2 games and possibly a third if we get to Wembley. But there's definitely a fear for me that this season has been so amazing that we will just not be able to replicate it next season.
Okay, but I would
we've
say
we've had a brilliant perfect storm, I think, this season of just riding that crest of momentum, which doesn't exist, and which is just a label, as we discussed earlier. I think, there's a.
I think,
I mean, it's super negative from me, but
I understand where you're coming from, you, and like I think when you look at what like Leyton Orient this season, I appreciate they had to sell their best players to higher divisions, but I mean, when you look at when you look at League One next season, there's going to be an even bigger amount of big hitters because, like, I mean, one of the teams getting promoted this season is Lincoln, who no one expects to be there. Could possibly be Stevenage as well. So you're going to have, there's going to still be at least one of Stockport or Bolton in there. Luton, Plymouth, Huddersfield have got to get it right at some point. I mean, we all hope not, but we would expect they would. Sheffield Wednesday, who aren't going to have a points deduction. Leicester City, who won the Premier League 10 years ago. Oxford, you would expect to be pretty competitive and probably have greater resources than most of the division. Yeah. And then, even looking down the table, teams like Reading, teams like, there's going to be a lot of teams.
Well, I would say to you, and I understand what you've just gone on and that and what you've just said. How does that change what we do next season? Like, I think that for me, we've just finished 4th in the table. That we shouldn't. We've just come up from We've just come up from League Two. We've finished 4th. How does that have any resemblance to what we do or what we do?
Well, I mean, it's going to mean that it's going to be a more at least as a competitive division as it was this year, and we don't have the resources to match that, and we're gonna it's gonna mean it's another incredibly difficult task to replicate the success we've had this season. We might not get another shot at this next year. Even looking at teams coming up, MK Dons could blow us out the water financially.
But M-Bank are coming into play. How much are they putting in?
Well, I'm not saying that we won't do it again next year, but the point is,
you're telling me we could be lifting the League One trophy at the M-Bank Arena in May of 2027.
That's what dreams are made.
What dreams are made of?
No.
Let's be serious.
I was just going to say I do tend to agree. I'm not saying that that's not going to I'm not saying that is going to happen, but I'm saying that I understand the point that Ewan was making, and I understand the point that we might not necessarily, this could be this is our chance kind of thing. But I am of the opinion that we are playing with house money at the moment. We've overachieved to such an extent where, you look at Bolton, they've been in the playoffs. They've been expecting an automatic promotion for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, and it's not come. Still stuck here. It kind of feels like their existence in League One kind of feels a bit like what we were in League Two to a point, where the pressure is so high on them to get promoted, and it just hasn't happened yet. That you kind of feel like their world's going to implode if it doesn't happen. Whereas with us, we didn't expect to be here. While obviously the pressure is on because it's the playoffs. And
I would say the pressure's off.
It's not.
Well, for us, the pressure's off.
What makes you think the pressure isn't off?
Because it's the playoffs, and you win 3 games and you get promoted.
The pressure is on Bolton, though, right?
Well, you can't just put all the pressure on one team. I agree with you that Bolton are under more pressure to get promoted, but every team's under pressure to win. It's the playoffs. It's a highly pressurized and highly charged.
I'd change that to everyone is under pressure to perform for different reasons. We're under pressure to perform because we've got an amazing opportunity here to get to the championship. Bolton are under pressure to perform because they've got the expectation to get to the championship.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And it's the playoffs as well. You can't really go into the playoffs under no pressure whatsoever because, the prize at the end of it, if you perform well, there's every chance that you're going to get it, and that is an absolutely enormous prize that no one thought would ever happen this season. So, like, you know, regardless of certain teams are under more pressure, certain teams, you know, like certain teams need it more than others. Like, everyone's under a certain amount of pressure.
Yeah, there's pressure. I personally, I think it's a bit of a free hit. I think the players are obviously going to go out and play with some sort of pressure on the shoulders. You know, they'll feel it regardless. But I reckon the message from Graham's going to be: nobody's expecting you to be here. Nobody's expecting us to beat Bolton. I mean, let's be honest. Nobody is, and
I think
still, no. Because even now, you look at all anything I've seen on socials, any punditry or anything like that. All I've seen is we're not really mentioned. We're not. People don't think we're going to do much, which is fair enough, and I quite like being that way, to be honest, because that might give them the freedom to outperform their own ability. Now, I do have one question, though, for Will, because he wasn't with us at the start of the season. What were your pre-season predictions?
Oh, you can't do this because you could say anything. Anyway,
no, because I believe I'll give the truth. Where did you realistically think we were finishing?
Well, I've got a vivid memory of being in Glastonbury and walking around with a flag that said "You've just been pecked by the chickens" on. And as a result, was basically a magnet for every single Bradford City fan within the 5-mile radius, which was obviously great. And I remember one lad, I can't remember his name, asked me where he thought that we finished this season, and I was about 5 pints deep, and I said top 6 playoffs, and he said really, and I said all right, fair enough, top 10. So I was sticking to top 10.
Wait, technically right.
Top 10. He's still right. He's closer than you two. What did you two predict?
I believe Chris said 10th and I said 11th, or was it Chris said 11th and I said 12th?
No, I think I was even worse than that.
Because I distinctly remember we had this conversation with Gab fairly early on. We both said top half, but I think 10th or 11th. I
think it was also the hope as well. I mean, I always said that, and I've said this a few times on the podcast as well. I've always said, get to that 50 points, get to that 50 points. Funnily enough, this season nearly wasn't enough. 50 points nearly wasn't enough for being saved. But I always said, once we get that 50 points, I think, I'll be honest, I didn't expect what we've seen this season. I look back at some of the games and we might whinge about some of the waveform at times, but I tell you what, one thing I will say is I've seen some great games, and certainly for me, the best game I've seen this season, beating Huddersfield 3-1, was absolutely magical. And whatever happens this season, whatever happens at the Bolton games, you know what? I think we have to remember what an absolute amazing year this has been. What an amazing 2 years this has been. And it's been great to be a City fan and love that and enjoy it again. And I think that's really important that we have to remember that. And we do. Football's a funny old game. You can get beat 5-0 one day, but the next week you can win 1-0. But I tell you what, I've absolutely bloody loved these last 2 years.
Well, let's hope that's not the 2 legs of the playoffs.
Well, yeah, but do you know what? Even if that happens, I've had a blast this year.
Yeah, you can't call it anything other than a success this season, can you?
No.
We look back on what we've had in the last previous years, and we've been frustrated. We've had this. Listen, lads and lasses, we've had the best 2 years, I think.
And I am conscious of time, but I will pop in there that I was called deluded many a times, but I called top 6 from the get-go. So I will accept my plaudits now, because this is all because of me.
Yeah.
What was your playoff prediction then, Andy?
Sorry?
What was your playoff prediction, Andy?
For what was going to happen?
His season prediction.
No. But what was your playoff prediction for like what do you think is going to happen? Are we going to win the tie?
We're going up.
There you go.
he's lost it.
Get his money on it.
Will, he's desperate for you to say what was his prediction at the beginning of the season.
No. But I'm just we all know he said.
We know.
Yeah.
I
we know he won't stop telling us.
I don't get things right often. I'm going to milk it.
But I'm saying, given that he's clearly got a crystal ball somewhere in Newport, then
William, we're falling out. Son.
What are your Welsh druids telling us that the final score is going to be over the two legs?
Yeah, well, I think we should listen to Andy a bit more. So what's going to happen in the two legs?
Well, I reckon we're going to win 1-0 at Bolton.
Ooh.
I reckon we're going to draw at home 1-1. And I reckon we'll play Stevenage in the final. And I reckon because we can play expansive football and they're not really expansive at all, I reckon we see them off in Northampton Town manner the way we did in 2013.
That's how I see
You heard it here first.
27 minutes.
Yeah.
So, what about you lot? How are you feeling?
Nervous. I love the playoffs. It's my favourite time of year when I can sit down with my bowl of popcorn and just watch every single minute. Unless we're in it, and then I hate it. I'm not addressing those. I'm not addressing any allegations about what my snack of choice would be for the playoffs.
That's a terrible choice, mind.
What would you have then? What's your snack of choice for watching the playoffs?
Pint of pork scratchings. Pint of pack of pork scratchings, and I'm golden.
A pint of wine to take the edge off.
Yeah. No,
Why, that's a bit posh. You've been living down south too long. You have, pal. Jesus. Right, gents. It's been lovely. None of you have given me a solid prediction on whether this playoff charge goes.
We're going up.
I can't do it.
Ewan's giving me we're going up. Will.
If we win this tie, we're going up.
Christopher.
If we win this tie, we're going up.
I thought you were going to say we're going down for a second.
It sounded like we were going down. It sounded gutted. No, so there we have it, folks. In it, right? It's been an amazing season. I think we can all agree. It's been great having you guys on tonight. It's been great to talk about it.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, but hopefully we'll be back for an episode maybe after the two legs, see what happens, to discuss that, and then hopefully we've got another episode celebrating a promotion. But that is it from all of us tonight, so thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Up the effing chickens.